everybody. Welcome to Preparing for Voiceover Auditions. So, just first off, how many of you want to be a voice actor?
I hope it's all the hands.
Yes, good stuff. All right, so how many of you actually do any type of like role-playing or theater? That's good. Well, role-playing is totally something that will help you hone skills as well. Yeah, no, that's improv.
Yeah. Very good. Is there such thing as too much?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're making up like dialogue on the spot there. You know, you're interacting with the world as it forms around you. That's improv to the max.
It really is. It honestly is something that will help you learn to perform. Seriously, a lot of people will be like, "Oh no, it's just this." No, it's valid. You know.
Can I put a little anecdote?
Go ahead.
This is the first time I'll admit this, and it's kind of silly, but when I first kind of figured out I think I might be a good actor is when I was a kid and I went through this phase where I just compulsively lied to my parents about everything. You know, but like I just did it with a straight face, so they'd just be like, "Did you eat cookies and ruin your appetite?" And I'd just be like, "No." You know, just like, "Ooh, I could be an actor," you know?
So yeah, that was actually one of the first people I ever like took lessons from. Like we were in one that like we were all like 6 or something, and somebody was like, "How do I learn to be an actor?" And the teacher just dead set. He like looked out and he was like, "Lie to your parents more." And we were like, "Whoa, what?" And he was like, "They're the ones that are going to be able to tell if you're faking or not." And we're like, mind blown.
That's hilarious.
So like that was one of the things that I learned. So to start off, my name is Margaret McDonald. I've been voice acting for about 6-7 years. Been around in the industry. I've done the transition from being a fan of anime and going into the voice acting world, which can be a weird transition because there are certain things that you have to acknowledge within that jump. And to my left.
My name is Jacob Browning, been in the anime biz for 3 years, got the best hair in the game.
There you go.
My name is Nicole Endicott. I've been doing this for about 2 years. I have the biggest hair in the game. Also, I actually come from the other side of that. So I do a lot of casting and a lot of vocal directing. So I'm the person that's picking the auditions that come in sometimes. So that's helpful occasionally to have these people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm so glad you're on this because honestly, a lot of times you don't get that side in these preparing for voiceover panels, and having somebody who identifies what they want in a voice and knows this is actually perfect. This is a great setup.
I'm perfect.
Hi, my name is Ethan Gallardo. I've been in the voiceover industry for almost 3 years now. That's about it. Hey, how's it going?
Great. So first off, I have to stress at the beginning, everybody asks, how do you become a voice actor? And the first thing I have to tell everyone is you have to start out with acting. Whether it be you're beginning with role-playing, being comfortable, improvising in front of others, whether it be a small group of people, performing in front of anybody is difficult. So working it up gradually, size-wise, is something that I would say is easy. So if you have just started with role-playing, that's a good start. It's solid. You're creating the world around you, and as you hone skills more and more, I definitely recommend classes, workshops, stuff like that. But I do think it's important to realize that whenever anybody starts at something, they're bad at it. Like the first time I tried to walk, I wasn't good at it, obviously, because babies learn to walk, no matter what it is.
You walk, yeah.
Right. So that's something that you have to acknowledge when you're starting anything. Whether you're starting drawing, you might have certain talents and things that make certain parts easier, but that doesn't mean you are where you need to be.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, personally, I don't think that there's ever a stopping point.
Right.
I think you can always push yourself to improve, and of course, just pushing yourself to get better is part of it. Like you said, you don't just start running. You have to learn how to walk first. But I mean, you gotta continuously push
for the next best thing, the next best version of yourself to be the best that you can, you know? I don't think that you're ever going to be just perfect at it, you know?
Right.
So
just realize that everybody who is in any place of success, they started somewhere, and at that start, they were bad. Like, that's just how it is. Most people, wherever they started, it wasn't the best that it could be, because you continue to learn and grow as, you know, a person, an actor, an entertainer, performer, whatever you really want to be. And I think it's important to acknowledge that it does take time, it takes effort, and it takes dedication.
Yeah, and you want to be fair to yourself. You don't want to put that pressure on yourself. I need to win an Oscar the very first thing I do. Like, it's not fair to you. That's just too much pressure, you know? So like, we're telling you that it's okay to fail. It's okay, because then you can build on that. And like we're saying before, there's so many avenues to go down. Whether you're doing D&D or maybe just doing community theater or just filming stupid little videos with your friends, you know, every little bit of experience will add, and you'll eventually just get more comfortable with it.
Right.
you have to try.
Yeah. So like workshops and stuff like that. And the reason I say I stress so much going to like classes and workshops is because those are the safest places to fail.
Oh yeah.
If you fail in a workshop, that is what it is for. That is exactly what it's for. So when you fail big. Because honestly, once you've gotten like something that's been like scary out of the way like that, you're not as scared anymore, because you're like, oh, I survived through it and I can do that again. So like I've done multiple times where I've gone up and done some sort of improv, like without warming up like an idiot, because like I do that to myself all the time. Somebody will be like, oh, come improv with us. I'm like, oh yeah, sure, I'll just come up. Like not warmed up or anything. And of course, I bombed the first one, and every time I bombed the first one, I was like, well, I knew that was coming. Like I should have known that was coming. But you're just like, whatever, let's go do something else, and then something works. But I do think it's very important to not have certain failures when you first audition for something. There is something like if you make a social faux pas in an audition, that can definitely be problematic.
Yeah.
I will stop listening to your demo if you put something I'm offended by. You use a word, you use anything that I'm offended by, I will stop you right there. I'm not going to go through, and it might be funny, might be whatever. Know your audience. You're there to showcase yourself. You're not there to showcase how many cuss words you can get in, you don't know what's going to offend somebody. And I have a trigger word, and I'm not even going to say it because I don't like to, but I have a trigger word that isn't most people use in their daily thing, but I find it offensive. And I remember going and listening to this demo of someone that said, oh man, this is a big YouTube star, and they're going to be great, and they have like 10,000 followers online, and they're going to be really, and I'm going to move in here, and they're going to get tons of work. And I listen, I'm like, all right, I'll give him a shot. And I listen, and he says the word, and the second thing, and I'm like, nope.
Yeah.
That sticks with me. And the things that you put out to the world when you're giving those auditions, they'll stick with you. He didn't know that word was my trigger word. That's my trigger word. And it's like, I'm a human, the same as everybody else. You can put your best foot forward without being offensive.
I think there's a certain preparation of, especially in auditioning even, that there's a certain level of professionalism that you have to go in with. You have to present yourself as an actor. You're a professional. Right? You're not, once you're trying to get into the industry, or once you're in the industry, you can't present yourself like, you're trying to run around and do, little projects on, the internet and things like that. You can still continue to do that, but when you're going for industry level things, you need to treat yourself, first of all, it's respectful for yourself, right? You need to treat yourself with the respectfulness to be a professional, to call yourself a professional, but you also need to give that respect and professionalism to whoever you're working with. I think it's really important to know yourself, to brand yourself as a professional when you're doing this kind of stuff.
And to help with the problems we want to help you guys avoid, auditions are kind of the first impression. And it goes both ways. If you have an outstanding audition, we'll definitely remember you. If you have an awful audition, we will remember that, And just as a good audition, we'll want to keep working with you, an awful audition will make us not want to work with you. So like again, like Nicole, if you come in with that language that we're not comfortable with, then like we're going to remember that, and all of a sudden that was the key thing we relate to you now, that you're the offensive person. And, you know, that's not a good place to be.
There is a difference between, like, directors can tell the difference between, like, somebody having an off day and somebody being something they do not want.
Right.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that, I've had people audition for things that they weren't right for that role, but I still remember that audition. So next time I have something that goes out, I will remember that that person might be perfect for that role, and I hope that they audition. And just anytime you send an audition out there in the world of you doing something, you're getting an opportunity to showcase your voice, to showcase what you can do, whether or not you're the right person for that part or not, because you're going to get rejected a billion times.
Yeah, that's
Whether or not you're the right person or not, the fact that you went through and you showcased an acting thing, I'm going to remember that, and I'm going to say, man, I cannot wait for the day that I have a Team at a Belcher role that I can go through and cast this person as, because they're perfect. And then I just hope that they audition. And sometimes I will actually email the people I think, you know, you might get it, and sometimes they don't, sadly enough. Like, I've had that happen too, where it's like, I know that person's going to be great for that role, so I send it to them, and I'm like, oh, they bombed that audition. Do I go off the audition? Do I go off what they do? And I try to go off the auditions, honestly, because I think it's fair. You know, if you're going to give a great audition, a great performance with one thing, like, you know that character, I'm not going to go through and cast you just because I know you do good work.
Yeah.
I try to give chances to people.
And in regards to auditions in general, the way I've always approached auditions is that I don't think, oh, I'll iron that out later if I get it. It's one of those, I look at it and I say to myself, this might be the only time I'll ever get to act this character. And when you think of it like that, it raises the stakes for you, and it gives you a more emotional performance.
Yeah, and I guess to piggyback, voice acting auditions are different from standard auditions. I mean, you don't have people there in front of you. I guess half and half. It can be half and half. Sometimes you can actually go to a studio and an audition in front of the director, and you can have that kind of standard audition, but you're going to do a lot of auditions from home. You're going to audition, your agent's going to send you stuff online, your friends are going to send you auditions online, and you can find auditions online, and you just have to record it yourself. So in those circumstances, yeah, like, you better be sending it right the first time, because that's the only chance you got. It's not like, oh, he sounded good enough, let's bring him in and make sure it's perfect. No, it's got to be perfect right from the get-go, because the competition's fierce. It always is in acting.
Right. I think rejection, as you had mentioned, is something that you need to be prepared for.
Yes.
You can't be, taken back too much or offended at rejection, because, there's so many people auditioning for a role and only one person can get it, all right? And sometimes you're just not right for that role, and that's just the way that it is. And the faster, the sooner that you can kind of process that and be okay with that, you're going to have a much better time with auditioning, because the rejection at first, I know for me, I was like, what's going on? I'm not getting any roles, but that's just the nature of it. That's how it goes, so.
So I was just going to ask you guys, okay, so do you think it is easier to audition in person, where they can give you notes and corrections, or do you think it's easier to come up with something on your own and send it in and just cover your eyes and not worry about it at all?
I don't like auditioning in front of people, truthfully. It freaks me out. I'm also I don't even like karaoke, guys. I'm comfortable here, but to put me in a small group of people, it's I shine when I have an audience, or I shine, but then especially in anime, you're gonna be with that person for a while, so you need to be comfortable with them. But man, I always notice, I'll get my auditions and I'll record them, in the booth, and I'm I nailed that. And then I go through and I do it, and I'll get called in and, go and read in auditions. I'm always oh God, I could have done so much better, so yeah, I get nervous in front of people. So even though you might say, yeah, I'm going to go the voice acting route because then I don't have to be in front of people and I have stage fright, there still might be situations where you have people, and it is a lot. I don't know, working from home, you get the opportunity to do it again and again and again and again and again. It doesn't matter, you can have what you feel comfortable with. Sometimes you don't get that when you're in person.
Right.
I enjoy auditioning in front of people. I like having the feedback, and every now and then you can kind of ask a question or maybe pick up on a context clue about, a quality the character might have that you might have not seen in the sides or something like that, So personally, I prefer that. Yeah.
I also like auditioning in front of people, but you kind of get the same treatment at first to begin with, because when you audition in front of somebody and when you audition at home, basically you're just giving the sides. like, here's a picture, here's a short description, and here are some lines we want you to read as that character. And then if you're working at home, you read it, you send it, you're done. Now, if you read in front of a person, yeah, you might get those notes later on, but you still kind of gave the first audition as you would have at your house. But it can be helpful or hurtful to get that feedback.
Right.
Because sometimes auditions, they don't know what they want. They can give you, like, they'll just throw out emotions and be like, oh man, he's so confident, but he's shy, you know, and he's got passion, but, you know, he's kind of ice cold. You're just like, all right, all these are contrasting, and I don't know where you're taking this character, so, like, I just need to pick one, need to pick a direction.
I want it to be announcery, but not announcery.
Yeah, exactly. You'll find that a lot, and sometimes going in front of a person, they're like, no, like, this is kind of where we're going, and they can lead you, and that's good, but sometimes they'll just confuse you more, and you don't know, and it's, so it's a give and take. Like, sometimes it helps, because you don't get the context of the scene, you'll just get the words, you know, so, you know, and it'll be like a line just like, don't leave me, and, you know, like, I'm like, oh man, it's a really sad scene, you know, I'm getting broken up with, so I give this, like, heartful, like, don't leave me, and then the person's like, no, actually, you're abusive to this person, and you're threatening that if they leave you, you're gonna kill them. You're like, oh, well, that's a totally different scene, so, okay, I know where that's going now, so, like, that's helpful, but sometimes they'll get in your head, like actual experience, because I know that's always helpful. So, like, I was auditioning for a high school character in front of somebody, and there was this big hulking high school kid. He was huge, and I was just like, this guy's jacked, you know? So, like, I gave him this, like, big brawny voice, you know? And then he was like, no, he's a high school kid. You need to, like, heighten it up. And I was like, so I went from, like, how's it going, guys? You know, to, like, how's it going, guys? You know, it's like, and then, you know, and it happens, I saw who they cast for that character, and they went with the deeper voice. And I was just like, well, I wonder why they gave me that no. It doesn't matter. They cast who they felt was right, and that's what's going to happen. But, like, I don't know.
Right.
You know?
I think that's a really interesting thing, especially, like, when you find out, or when you hear, like, who got the role, or you hear the voice that they ended up going with, is sometimes there's no right or wrong. Sometimes it's not objectively you did a wrong choice, it was just the director liked this other choice for that character more, and I always find that aspect of, you know, casting and directing so interesting, you know, but I definitely agree with, like, some of the in-person kind of things.
Yeah.
All right, so does anybody have any sort of question? Yes.
What would you say is one of the smoothest or most graceful ways to request auditions for a company like Funimation, like saying, hey, I am talented, I have demos, would you like to hear them, may I audition?
In regards to, like, the bigger studios, most of them just have some place where you send an email, and, you know, if you send a demo, and they'll put you on this kind of like a cattle call list. Yes, it really is. And honestly, when they send out that email to be like, hey, we're having these, they fill up quick, so you have to be on top of it. But yeah, no, like, honestly, because it's that competitive. It is that competitive in the voiceover world.
I think one really important thing that you said, I just want to throw out, you said, you know, where's, can I send an email, you know, I have experience, I have reels, where can I send that? If you don't have a reel, you absolutely need a reel. That's kind of like your acting business card almost, you know, so just a hot tip. I feel like most of you should know that already, but definitely get a reel and make it the best that you can to showcase yourself. So, right, yeah.
The purpose of the reel, they're looking for two things. One, you can act, and two, what do you sound like? And that gives them a little bit more indication to call you, because if they got nothing, they're just like, hey, I'm talented, can I audition? You're like, I don't, who cares, you know? But they got a little demo that they can listen to real quick, just 10 seconds, just be like, all right, sure, yeah. I mean, that's probably the best you're going to get. They're not going to probably be like, he's a superstar, like right away. Just be like, yeah, whatever. You know, they're going through hundreds of emails a day probably, and this is a tale of caution, but companies are made up of people, and sending auditions to specific people is a gamey choice. So I just want to say that, like, I honestly think it's best to go through the corporate way, such as they tell you, like, this is where you should send it, this is very appropriate. There are people who can luck out with those connections, but a lot of times you're going to make yourself look bad at the same time, that they're like, this person keeps bugging me.
I know a director who, if somebody sends them an unsolicited demo, they will put them on a list to not use them.
Right, yeah.
Exactly.
Don't go emailing, actors' personal emails or directors' personal emails.
Actors especially.
Yeah, actors especially.
Cannot help you.
Yeah.
We cannot help you. We're just trying to get our own jobs, you know, like, we do not cast.
Yeah.
Be graceful part of it.
Right,
Yeah.
yes, important, graceful.
I think for a lot of it, for me, it's, if you send me your demo and I listen to it and I think you have talent, the three things I'm going to listen to if you're doing a lot of online work is, one, how's the quality of your demo? Even if you're sending me an audition, how's the quality of your audition? You understand, though, like a lot of times, there are people here probably recording that are working here in their closet of their hotel room right now.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's how you get your job. Like, you have to record, and so you understand that. But if I'm a new person coming in and you aren't established and you have nothing to go through, every one of those auditions needs to sound good, because I need to know. And you can sit and tell me all the recording studio equipment you have, but it could still sound like junk if you don't know how to use it. So I always tell people this, like, make sure your auditions sound good, because I've had a lot of people. I had one that I cast recently. She did great. I wanted to give her an opportunity. I went to go get my final finished product to her, and I couldn't use it. I tried to clean it. I tried to do everything I could. I couldn't. I asked her to re-record it. I couldn't get clean, usable audio. And when you're doing a lot of online work and things like that, which is where a lot of people start out, that's very important. And, I'm not an audio engineer, so I can't go through and really tell someone how to fix that, unfortunately. I wish I could, because it was like, my job. She's so talented, but the audio quality was not good enough for me to actually give to put in a game. So, I would say that, one, if it's an audition, you don't have to make it with Dragon Ball Z, extra side noises. I don't need to hear the thing you're punching. Like, just give me your real voice, but make sure it's clean, and make sure that, I'll email you. I'll email you if you have an audition. Or they'll send out auditions. These companies send out auditions to people, and usually the ones that I will last with me are the ones that give me back my work quickly. So if I'm sending you something and you're auditioning and you're following up with me, now don't bug me 8,000 times, because I got a bunch of email, but if I know that I can rely on you to give me good work, clean audio, quick turnaround, chances are when I have a new thing come up, I'm going to think about you. I'm going to think, man, this person, they're really good, and they've got good clean audio, they've got good fast turnaround, they're responsive if I need retakes or anything like that. They're just good at it, and that's from an online perspective. Now, when you're talking about anime and you're talking about going in, that's a whole other beast. That's a whole other beast of recording, because you're with a person in a studio, and getting into that is hard. It's incredibly hard. It's kind of like winning the voice actor anime lottery. It's a lottery system, honestly. Everyone that's here is incredibly talented, but just like every other acting job, there's a lot of incredibly talented people out there. So I just say, don't go in there thinking, I'm going to be Funimation voice actor. Number 8, go in there thinking, man, I really want to do this, and I'm going to find cartoons. I'm going to get on these independent websites, you've got to have somewhere to practice, and that's the hardest thing, is how do you get experience when you don't have anywhere to get experience from? Where do I find that experience? And for a lot of people now, workshops are a great thing, but you might just constantly do workshops until, you aren't actually getting real work. You're spending lots of money on workshops. And that's great, because you're going to hone your skill, but it's when I'm going to actually get my job doing that, and that's, online works for a lot of people that way, and that's the biggest skill I have is clean audio. Yeah. Clean audio, send me a good demo, fast turnaround, don't give me excuses, and great, I sent you an audition, you didn't audition, I don't need to hear how your dog didn't die or something like that afterwards. It's okay, I get it, people have lives, I don't need to sob story about it, it's cool. Next time, I'll get you, I'll remember it.
If I can tag one quick thing on online auditions, please also pay attention to file types and file names.
Yes.
Because sometimes directors will see that as, your inability to follow direction. Or some people will straight out say on the audition, if you send the wrong file type or have a wrong file name, you won't even be considered. I won't click on that file, So it can be very, particular sometimes, but just please be mindful and pay attention to the director's requests and notes, to better your chances. So,
In MP3 or WAV files?
Yeah.
Wave.
Depends.
Yeah, I see that
Also,
more
like
often.
MP3s.
Yeah, it's a toss-up every now and
I
then.
know that was a lot of information, but you said a key word, which was graceful. And I just want to hit just like a small thing is when you email somebody or a company, it's just email them like you're actually applying for a job. Just like oh, I want to work at Apple. I'm emailing Apple like, hey, hello, my name is this. These are my qualifications. But like, you don't want to be there like, sup, bro? Like, yeah, you just the anime, freaking love that crap. Let's do it. Hook up. Like you don't. No, man, not at all.
Yeah, no, all of these things are really spot on in regards to, landing an anime audition and, getting through it. Another thing you have to keep in mind is that in regards to anime, you are never going to be able to make a full-time career off of anime alone. So if that's something that you're considering, I'm letting you know now, it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, like even the big anime people, they have other jobs. You might be directing or script adaptations or time coding. They're doing something else,
Commercials.
And, voice acting other gigs, and of course cons will get you some cash.
But, and do not think that the only thing that you are going to be doing is anime.
Right.
And anime is a very distinct style of voiceover. So you're going to have to keep in mind that the way you voice act in anime is not going to be the same that you do for a video game or for American cartoons.
Oh my gosh, there's a panel about that. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, like, that's, 6 o'clock today.
Yeah, but there's a difference.
But I think that's why it's so important that you said, learn to act first, right? Because when you go in just being, I'm only doing anime, you're really just limiting yourself and your potential to be a great actor, So, any questions? Yeah, go for it. Okay, yeah.
If you're planning on making a career in voice acting, you can always try voicing in video games or commercials and all that.
Yeah,
Right, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Why just limit yourself to one medium when you have all of these acting opportunities that you can, really apply and push yourself towards? I mean, that's definitely the mindset to have, so. Yeah.
Look, even more rejections everywhere. Expose yourself to more.
Yeah, and commercials specifically, they may not be the most fun, but guess what? They pay the most.
They pay a lot.
Like those are driven by the marketing departments of very large companies, and they're shelling out money. So
Yeah.
Yep.
Talk to your doctor.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
And that could be all you said, and it's just like, cha-ching, and did it.
And also, some things like commercial, they're not limited to like a location. Sometimes you can apply for, or you can audition for some roles like this. Like, some are international, some are nationwide, kind of stuff.
Yeah, and they'll just book a studio, and they'll be like, hey, go to that studio, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay. Like, you don't have to do anything.
Right, yeah.
It's all them. They're just like, well, we want you to do this. Cool. And do you have any idea how much that chick Flo makes? Like,
Yeah. I'd love to be a spokesperson. Oh my gosh.
I want to be the Wendy's girl.
oh my gosh.
Summit guys make a lot of money.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, they do.
Performers.
Yeah.
That's how they started. They're big improv performers. Now they're Sonic dudes.
I'm curious the question because I know absolutely nothing of the acting world.
Yes.
What I know, right?
Yes. Gotta hear it.
Voice actors have. I always hear about. You see a show, so they're like, oh, the agent. To the agent.
Okay.
So is there an agent then?
There is an aspect of that. I have a commercial agent. She is not interested in anything in regards to anime or video games. She's like, if you get that, that's on you. I'm not taking any of that. Honestly, I don't make enough in that with as much as I do. Like, I still don't make enough for her to even, like, register it. She's just like, what? Well, yeah, it's good, but it's also, it shows how little anime voice actors make. When the agent doesn't even care. Because honestly, commercials are about, for the most part, even the lower ones are $200 an hour, depending, around that.
Yeah.
So like, in regards to that, you know, that's the kind of stuff she's looking for. But because she's specifically a voiceover commercial agent, she doesn't care if I get another agent that does on camera. She doesn't care if I get another agent that does, like, you know, that's only the LA area. There's a number of people who have multiple agents because, and it's not that you need an agent, because I was able to get all the anime stuff myself. So there is something to be said that you can do it yourself. A lot of extra work gets cut out when you have an agent, and you get new opportunities that you cannot make connections. Like the connections that my agent has to some of the local businesses in Houston are connections that I wouldn't be able to make myself, because they don't put them up on, like, you know, Voices 1, 2, 3, or, you know, Voice Bunny.
Right.
They don't put the stuff up there. They go to agencies and they're like, this is what we want. Narrow it down.
Yep.
And they're like, okay. So the agents will be like, all right, I think this person will be good at this person will be good at, and they ask a number of agencies. So they're still getting a lot of submissions, but it's just, it's more exclusive
Yeah.
in the net that they cast out.
That's the
It
move.
saves time through the process for them, and that's probably.
And like 8,000
Yeah.
emails from people wanting to audition.
Right.
That's why people like me.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. Like I have a lot of people that, you know, I'm a game developer. I'm too busy making my game, you know. I don't have time to listen to these 8,000 developers. You know, I don't have time to listen to these 8,000 auditions, but I want someone great. Will you do that for me? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like I want to listen to all 400 of these, and so, and I do. You know, and so it's one of those. You got to be, you know, you find people to do the work that they're good at. So a lot of these agencies and things like that, that's their job, is to make these connections. That's my job, is to go through and find the games to make and then figure out who's going through and take the work off of them, because their job's to make a great game. My job's to make great voices in that great game.
Can I ask, with what you're saying, what do you think you did, or what is it that set you apart to say, you know what, she's someone we can trust for this? You know,
It's my hair. No, it's just, and I say this, everyone up here, voice acting, entertainment business, any of these, it's a small business. So you have to know how to run a small business. You are your own small business. That comes with networking, that comes with helping other people, that comes with cold calling. You have no idea how many emails I would just send out to people that says, please let me help you, dear God. You know, or just, you know, hey, do you guys need help? Because I'm going to do this for you and get good at it. And it just, you know, being a small business owner, if you will, it's the same thing. Like, business, weird thing, you guys, as voice actors, learn about business. Small business, because you are a small business.
Let's be honest, we just sell ourselves.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
what we're
You
doing.
are the product. You are the product.
Yeah, it's true.
It sounds bad, but then no, like I have to be like, all right, what markets do I need to, you know, push towards? And it's always like, you know, the young mom, like that's those are the commercials. Like I get the real young mom. I get like, you know, high school kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And like when they really are feeling cartoony, they're like, here, give us the little kid voices. I'm like, okay, sure. But you know, I know in regards to auditioning, like if you've ever been to a voiceover audition for an anime thing, what I usually do is I look through the book, because you're allowed to pick like 3 usually.
Yeah.
So I pick one that I know is in my wheelhouse, one that I know that I can kind of like, that's a little bit of a stretch, and then the shoot for the stars. I know I'm probably not going to get this, but by at least trying, I might find out something that I didn't know. So, trying to run the gamut, but it's important to know what your niche is.
Right.
It's very important to know that.
Know your voice, or know your acting range, I guess, so to say.
Keanu knows. Keanu Reeves knows. He knows what he's good at. He has made an entire career of just being like the same character in like just about everything, and he's great at it. Like he's good at that. But like you have to if you can make a career of that, yes, do it. And you can stretch or you can Nick Cage it and just accept anything. Like that's something you can do too.
Yeah, I mean, I guess typecasting is kind of a thing, but I mean, it's just your wheelhouse. Bruce Willis is an action star. Like he's always going to get those action roles. But like, yes, you can expand, and yeah, you should expand. But I mean, that's very much a thing. Just get to know what your strengths are and work on what you need worked on. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. How about you?
Can you recommend any local classes or workshops around the area?
Ooh, there's a lot of good ones in Dallas.
There's Katie Conservatory.
There's Katie Conservatory. There's Sunny Straight does a bunch of
Sunny Straight has his own studio now.
Has his own studio, and
he
he
does
does
a lot of workshops.
ton of workshops. Chris Rager has one.
I had checked out the Bruce Carey.
Bruce Carey.
It's mostly commercial for that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's a voice acting meetup. It's a very large one, and they don't actually meet up anymore like they used to, but they'll let you know of people coming from out of town, like legit people doing workshops. Like I went to. I forget his name. Dave Fenoy. I took Dave Fenoy's video game workshop, and the meetup let me know about that. Like Dave Fenoy, he's huge right now in video games. So like legit people will come through and they'll let you know. And again, do not forget, acting's acting. Take an improv workshop. Take an actor workshop. It doesn't have to specifically be voice.
Yeah,
eventually you will, but there are other workshops as well.
There are communities where you can do improv jams or meetups. Even I find even just socializing with people who have common goals and interests can help propel your determination to kind of just shoot for the stars. So just get involved with people who want to do kind of the same stuff. That can also just really help. Everybody just kind of helps each other and things like that. So.
Along the same lines of exactly what you're saying. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Along the same lines, we've talked about commercials, we've talked about animating. Do you guys get also into theater? I know there's Circle Stage. I know we have several other between Denton and Dallas and Fort Worth. There's several acting things.
Yeah.
Do you guys get involved with them as well, like you're saying, being around that kind of thing?
Personally, myself, I don't do too many things in theater, but I am an improv actor, so I do improv shows several times a week, just in Dallas and things like that. So acting, like we mentioned before, and it's really important that we stress this, there's acting is what we're doing here. Voice acting is just another form of acting. Just, really push for that. So,
I did professional theater for a long time before moving here, and then I didn't do professional theater since moving here, and that's okay, because I decided to kind of go the voice actor route and kind of go the improv route instead. And so ever since then, Jacob and I, we have an improv class that we do, and we do a lot of those things. But yeah, it's acting's what you're comfortable with, honestly.
I'm actually very uncomfortable with improv, which is why I force myself to do it so much.
You've had your hand up for a while. Okay, you sure?
Okay, I'm silly. So one of the hardest things I have is whenever I hear my voice on recordings, that's not me. That's not what I sound like. Look at my friends. Why do you let me do things like this? Correct me. What's it like getting used to hearing your voice? And do you guys, after hearing your voice, over camera?
You don't.
You never get used to it. Never get used to it. Even today, I'll be in an anime, and I'll just be like, oh man, everyone sounds so good. Oh, it's me! I just stick out like a sore thumb, and I'm just like, I'm a fraud, it'll happen every time. There's something in our brain, just you just can't
I got
stand it.
auto-tuned once, and I still hated myself, okay? It's I'm like, oh, it's so bad.
Even with the monitor in the headset, you're hearing yourself as you're recording it, and the whole time you're just like, no, please, So.
I thought about that because I was my family wanted to keep up with my trip to Dallas, so I started recording things with my friends, and I started listening to them. Like, I'm never doing this.
No.
Yeah.
Like, there's certain things that I'll listen for in regards to, like, sending in an audition. They'll be like, were there any pops? Were there any, like, mouth gross noises? Because that's a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I need to take a drink of water? Like, yeah, no. Like, mouth noises, clicks are so gross. So I, like, have to, like, listen, like, intensely. But, for the most part, usually, if there isn't some sort of mess up like that on my first or second take, if I keep on trying to record it, I will start agonizing over it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It's just like, I'm not sure if you guys watch Seinfeld, but it's just like, these pretzels are making me thirsty. It's like you got one line, but you're like, how do I say it? What's the inflection?
Yeah.
My advice is you may not always be comfortable with the way you sound. I am not personally. That is just my personal struggle. But you can tell if you are acting. You can tell if you did it right. If you are having an emotional scene, you can tell if you did it right. If that laugh sounded believable, if you actually sounded sad in this sad scene, you know right away. So don't worry about how do I sound. That's whoever's casting this.
Right, yeah, that's what
And once you get cast, that job's done. You don't need to worry about how you sound. So it's just, do I sound believable?
Right. Definitely.
But yeah, getting used to your voice, almost never. Because there's some things that I do sometimes, and it's like, oh, that sounded awful. And everybody's like, oh my God, you did so well in this part, which is why I recommend if you do get a reel or demo done, you let someone else listen to it. Because you will pick stuff that other people will be like, why'd you pick that? You should do this one.
Right.
And you're like, no, I'm awful.
Pick people who will give you honest feedback, okay? And you're on
Not
your
people
way.
who hate you, because they'll just like yell.
It's trash.
This is all trash. But somebody who you know won't be like, oh no, it's great. Like I send my stuff to some of my best friends who have definitely sent me back like, ew, no. Like, and I'm like, oh, okay. I was like, what would not be an ew, no choice? And they're like, this one. And I'm like, ew, no. And they're like, shut up, you don't know. So that's what's been taking me so long with getting my character reel done. Everybody's like, oh, just pick some of the best stuff that you've done in anime, because I like listen and I'm like, this. And somebody's like, no. And I was like, oh, okay. I guess I don't know.
Since we argued,
Where are we?
I was going to call on her because there was a back and forth.
Yes.
Oh, okay, sure.
So earlier you were talking about having agents. How do you find an agent that you trust and you can rely on to get those other sources and connections?
Mostly through word of mouth. You'll find out review-wise of like who's decent, who's good, and you also have to consider that some of the better places will take more percentage. The ones with better connections will probably take more percentage. That's just how it works. This industry standard is about 10 to 15. Some take 20. It depends. It doesn't. It's something that is negotiated, but you have to acknowledge that with an agent, if the person is trying to undercut me as an actor, my agent is going to go to bat and be like, no, they need this much. And that's something that you're going to have to learn. And honestly, it's a learning process in regards to that. Like, you also have to be reliable as somebody they're sending auditions to. Just like she said, turnarounds, responding back quickly, getting everything in on time. Because the thing is like, before they can even put you on like their website or anything, you have to send them a bio, you have to have your demo ready, and if you don't send that in, they can't even list you yet. So it's very important to give the response at least within a week. I would say a week and 2 days is pushing it. But I say a week turnaround is the best in regards to making sure everything is already in. And I mean fully completed. So like if somebody has sent you a back and forth, and the final product should be done within a week.
Yeah, recommendations will go a long way, but also just trust your gut. Check out the website, see if it's reputable, see how they promote their actors on their website, see if you like that, and then before you sign with them, you're obviously going to talk to them, or you should talk to them. Talk to them, see how you feel about it, and then once you do get an agent, The misconception is people think actors work for the agent. It's the reversal. The agent works for you because the agent doesn't get paid unless you book the job. That's how they make their money. So if they're not looking for jobs for you, then guess what? They're a crappy agent and you drop them as soon as you can, you know? So, but like, yeah, if you can see that they are working for you, then yeah, that's a good sign.
And a common thing you see a lot is, especially with some agencies I've seen and people that I've talked to, is that they want you to pay them to be your agent. Absolutely do not. This is not a pyramid scheme. Like, if you're good, you can get jobs with big, yeah, you want the extra things, but no, don't pay them. Do you know they're going to get paid from you? You shouldn't be like like those acting classes you guys see online where it's like, ooh, pay $800 to take our acting class, and then magically you're going to be an actor, and we're going to be your agency, and then you're getting work. Like, I've seen people waste tons of money on doing that.
Also, if they're requiring you to recruit anyone,
Yes,
run.
it's a pyramid scheme. Run. Like, yeah.
You shouldn't have to recruit anybody for
And you
that.
shouldn't have to pay a bunch up front. I get sometimes they'll like charge for, internet fee, which is still dumb in my opinion. Like, those are the ones where I'm like, I don't think I'm going to do this. And don't be afraid to say you're like really lucky and you find an agent and you're like, yeah, and they come back and they're like, bull. Don't be afraid to just say, I'm not really comfortable with that and I don't want to do that. Are you guys still going to take me? Because chances are they want money off of you. They want to make money off of you. They're talking to you. So negotiate. Like, you are you. This is your product. This is your business. Own it. You be proud of you. We represent you, or call me and I'll go yell at him for you or something. I don't know.
Yeah? Do you want to do one last question?
Yeah, let's see if we can fire off some of these.
Okay.
What is it?
Kind of piggybacking off what you guys said before, I sometimes do voice work and even listening to videos of my friends' family. When we hang out with my friends' family, I still to this very day cringe at the sound of my own voice. And I sing in choir, so as long as I don't hear me, I'm good. But something else, something else I want to ask, you mentioned something about typecasting, and I know personally I noticed that a lot of times whenever I do actively, I tend to get kind of typecast like the kind of geeky girl in the
Right.
Or kind of like whenever I do plays, sometimes I'm always kind of cast with somebody with kind of like an attitude.
Yeah.
Do you ever notice that even if it's not really true to your personality, do you notice that kind of?
Yeah, very much on.
It's a huge thing within the industry, and you're going to have to kind of deal with that because you're going to have to realize that's kind of your bread and butter.
Yeah.
If you start getting cast and then you'll get other roles that are aren't that, and you'll get excited about those.
Yeah.
But you have to realize, sometimes you do just have to play to your strengths.
I'm flattered to always be a domineering woman. It makes me really excited, honestly.
There you go.
If you sound geeky, audition for every geeky character you can find.
If you're getting those roles, keep it
Own
on.
it, yeah. Hey, I mean, your voice is your voice. That's the voice that you have,
Yeah.
So own it, and with confidence, really, really own it. And that goes for anyone too, because I struggle with the same thing.
Perfect.
Thank
All
you.
right. Quick, one more question. How about you?
How do you determine whether this should be a career or whether it should stay a hobby?
I mean,
love it?
Yeah.
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 Then don't stop.
Hey, don't stop.
If you're lucky, you make money at it. Just don't stop. That's what I always tell people. If you love it, don't stop. You're doing this because you love this, not because you're going to make $1 million, not because you're going to do that. I'm here today because I love this,
It's like the best, it's so exciting to be able to perform and entertain. And the thing is if I didn't get a call back from any anime department tomorrow, I would still be performing and entertaining in some other way. I'd be working at a Renaissance festival. I would find some place to go and work.
It doesn't matter if it's your first school play or if you're on a feature film. If you're an actor the whole time, you're an actor. Just do what you love, man.
Some things pay more than others. But it's something that you do have to, I do other stuff on the side. I do other stuff that's normal work, but it's not even normal because it's got weird hours. But if you have a part-time job, you can have a part-time job and slowly transition. You don't have to go from I'm a full-time 9 to 5 to no, now I'm just an actor. You can ease that transition, and if it seems to be something that's really viable, then make the jump.
Yeah.
I think what Margaret McDonald used to say when I took his class is that you love the art of storytelling.
Right.
You're a storyteller. And that's how I started looking at myself, not just as like an actor. I love stories, so acting is one of the ways I tell stories. I also write, I also just love creating worlds. And so that's a lot of the way that I learned all of my skills in acting. It's just, I'm not just an actor, I'm a storyteller. I love to tell stories.
Yes.
I can do it in different ways. And
She's
so
got
I
it.
love telling stories. Congratulations, you're an actor.
All right, guys, thank you so much for coming out.